The Town of Lake Mills Town Board, I will call to order on this evening, January 8th, 2019, at 8 p.m. here at the Town Hall. The notice for this meeting was posted at the Town Hall, the North End Boat Launch, cul-de-sac on Finch Brothers Road, and also on the town's website. Item 2 on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda.
Make a motion to adopt January's agenda as printed.
Is there a second?
I can second.
All right, is there any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the agenda as published, please say aye. Aye, and all opposed, the same sign. Item 3, approval of the minutes, including the October 18th. No, it's not here, I knew that.
I'm watching it.
All right.
It's riveting.
The minutes then of the meeting of December 11th of the Town Board of the Town of Lake Mills are in question. I will make a motion to approve the minutes as published.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of approving the monthly board meeting minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and all opposed, the same sign. We will put the minutes are approved, and we will put the October.
Yes, I'm sorry.
It's
Something
not a
came
problem.
up.
Item 4, approval of the treasurer's report. I would make a motion to approve the January 19 treasurer's report as published.
I will second it.
Are there any questions about the report? Anybody want to kick in anything? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the January 19th treasurer's report, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and all opposed, the same sign. Hearing no objections, the treasurer's report is approved as published. Item 5, approval of the general funding vouching.
I'll make a motion to approve January's disbursements of $2,137,644.54.
Is there a second to this?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion or questions on the disbursements?
No real discussion, just want to bring up a point that Sarah always tries to, when she makes her pie chart there, of where our money goes, even though there was $2 million in change. The disbursements, the Jefferson County Treasurer, $625,000 and some change. Cambridge School District, roughly about $100,000 went out to those folks. Lake Mills Area School District, $1,196,000 and some change. And MATC, $127,000 and some change. So,
We should point out that that's just the January settlement. There's a February settlement to come too.
okay, all right, so that's a lot of cash, and there was a lot of ins and outs for you guys this month, so, again, we collect a lot of money, and we don't hardly get to keep any of it.
Well, thank you, Dave.
I have a
That's
couple of
good.
questions too, please.
All right.
Dave, I wanted to ask if the assessment for the Cambridge Fire and Commission, is that the final number or was that a preliminary number?
That should be final number.
Okay, good. And I have one other thing.
Yes.
Our building inspector mentioned today that the building permit seals, you see that on the disbursements there? Our cost on those is $33 each, but in our fee schedule, they're only $30.
Oh.
So we need to address that.
Yep.
What is the current cost?
There was a question.
33 plus shipping.
And what is the current charge? 30?
So he
Okay.
said he sees it usually $41.
Okay.
Okay.
But we don't necessarily need to make money on it. That
Right.
just covers it in
Covers
case
the
the
cost.
cost comes up
Yeah,
further.
but we don't need to go backwards
I don't
either.
know what that one was on.
A question for Lee?
Yeah, you said, you put a note on mine.
Oh, there was one thing that we paid the WTA dues for, it's way in the back, WTA.
Wisconsin
Yeah,
Towns
right there.
Association.
Towns Association. So they want the names and email addresses for, the
The
year.
new letter, yes.
So I don't know if we should just pay and then send this in April, or if this has to go along with it. Or if if Lee and I want access through April. I really don't know how to handle this one.
Well, why don't we ask them?
Okay,
That should be easy enough.
okay.
You see that, the
Hold on to that one.
Wisconsin Towns Association dues is what she's talking
Well, it's not the
about.
dues, it's the advocacy council.
Right,
It's
and
separate.
it is the,
So you want the check
instead of the urban,
or-
what did they call it? Urban Towns Association?
Yeah.
They've changed it to the Towns Advocacy
Council,
Council.
With a really pretty new cover.
yeah.
I mean,
New
you just-
logo.
Yeah, new
Yes.
logo. It's-
Well, that they are funding all of their lobbying activities at the state level and the federal level through the Urban Towns Association.
Yep.
And they have decided to rename it and reface it and relogo it and call it the Town Action Council. And they want support for that from every town, not just urban towns. And I see there is a check here drafted to them.
Yes.
I want to bring this up, as you see here at the top of the disbursement sheet, also in large amounts dropped, some $20,000 to the Cambridge Fire District, and also $8,525, which is our pledge towards the new fire engine. And I
That's-
appreciate you girls pulling that all together,
It's a drop in the bucket compared to.
compared to everybody else.
Pocket change, hope.
I know, but I think it's
compared to the
important.
Check we're sending to the city pretty soon.
So we have a motion on the floor to approve the disbursements. All in favor, please?
Well, hang on just a
Wait.
second. Are you gonna then put it on the agenda for the fee schedule?
I just did, for
Put it on
February
the-
to adjust the, yeah,
Gotcha.
yep.
So there's a motion on the floor. Sorry that I have to hack through tonight. Motion on the floor to approve the disbursements for January. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and all opposed, the same sign. The general funding vouching is passed. Item 6, reports. Matt.
Let me see, for the month of December, we worked 100 hours of time for the month of December. We handled 7 complaints, 2 traffic accidents, 9.5 hours on calls for service for the complaints. We had a total of 30 traffic stops, 1 repair notice, 22 traffic warnings, 13 citations, spent 23.5 hours running stationary radar, did 4 residence checks, 34 park checks, and 5 extra patrols monitored during the month of December. We have now posted on WileyNet, which is where people look for employment. Just posted today for the boat patrol positions for this next season. The applications have to be in by March 4th. We should have somebody online by April. Cody Jepson indicated that he was coming back, but I also know that he has applications out at full-time agencies, so I did put in for 2, just in case we end up with 3 guys, we got 3 guys instead of 2. To cover some of those hours that the Rock Lake Association wants us to be out there. So we did post for 2 of those. Also, Sergeant Walters received a gift card from Culver's from a lady that he stopped on Highway B, must gave her a warning. We can't accept gifts or gratuities, so I'd like to turn it over to the town board, maybe we can give it to food pantry or something, somebody can use it
Yeah.
for a donation, it's a $10 thing, but our guys can't take those
Yeah,
things.
makes sense.
Right.
I chuckled when I saw it.
Yeah,
In the fine,
She turned
in
it
the
into
fine
city of
print.
Mills and they gave it to us.
She was
Yeah.
grateful, I guess that's all that
It's a nice
matters.
gesture.
It was a nice gesture, but we can't take it, so. We did cover quite a few hours this weekend for the fireman's funeral for Chris's funeral, the captain. And there was 3 of us on Saturday, 4 of us on Sunday. And we did provide security for the governor when he showed up there for that. And we did use both of our squads just for information. Other than that, it's been fairly quiet.
Appreciate your help there, Matt, and I think this is the appropriate time to say and extend our sympathy to Chris Truman and his family and friends for his loss. It was a tragedy. Thank you for your support, though, Matt. Item B, Joint Rock Lake Committee report. I see no one here to report on that. They have asked to come, they would like to come to the town board and, along with the Rock Lake Improvement Association, present the results of their lake planning grant, and put forward the new plan. And I said maybe February or March, or perhaps even April would be a good time for that, when things begin to warm up and people are around concerned about the lake. Item C, the Planning Commission report. Lee?
Yeah, we did not meet in the month of January, so nothing to report.
Okay, thank you. Item D, any other committee reports?
Cambridge Fire Commissioners, we met on the 19th of December. Financially, our checkbook was a negative $5,437. So we had to dip into a little bit of the EMS reserves to balance that out, so we were no longer in the red. The engine, the fire truck we're purchasing, right now we have $250,000 pledged by the municipalities, $46,000 in reserves. So far as the 19th, we had $27,000 in donations for a total of $323,500. So that's a long ways from where we have to be. So hopefully we're planning a meeting. It's either going to be next Wednesday or Thursday. We haven't decided. Still waiting for everybody to get back to finalize the agreement, which we'll talk about later, and also to talk more about the fire truck. Our problem with the fire truck is if you COD this truck, it's $626,537. If we prepay the truck, it's $601,310. They are going to hold the price to that truck to the 1st of February. Come the 1st of February, the truck is going to go up 3%, which is a hair over $18,000. So if we COD this truck, that's going to get us probably into closer to that $650 range. So I'm sure this is going to be a hot subject. We talked about it quite a while at our last meeting, trying to determine where we're going to come up with the rest of the money. As commissioners, we are not a taxing body, so we cannot go to the bank and borrow money. That means we would have to come back to the townships to borrow the money to get this truck paid for. Now, we have not made no decisions on how we're going to do that because of kind of obviously the financing. We can go ahead and order this truck and we can partially pay for it, and that will give us some deductions. We were counting on quite a bit of money from hopefully the Cambridge Foundation, but anybody that's been getting their quarterly statements have noticed that our last fourth quarter did not do very well, and it was kind of a takeaway. So I'm sure it's probably the same thing for those guys, so then that kind of depletes the profits, so that would be less money coming in. So anyway, I guess that's kind of it there. The rest we'll talk about later.
Well, thanks for the good news,
Oh,
Dave.
hey,
Thank you very
happy.
much. Item number 7, period of public comment and questions from the audience for anything that is not on the agenda.
I have one thing I'd like to talk about a little bit. Kurt Orcott and Bill Belaska have both approached for four-wheeler trails. And I'm just going to mention this, so I don't know if you want to put it on the agenda for next month. I'm kind of leaning towards an annual meeting, and maybe it's going to take 2 because I'd really like to see, I have my opinion when I think of it. So I don't know if we should have the electors kind of decide. Town of Waterloo, they have approved it. And the WTA has made that allowable activity. Obviously, it's going to be just strictly for township roads, and they would not be able to travel on state and county highways. And in their wording and the state statutes, it states in there that the township is responsible for signage. I talked to Town of Waterloo, and they made the club responsible for the signage and upkeep of those signs. I don't know what you guys think about it, but I real have to get back to these guys. I told them I'd mention it to you. And the state statute, we can get a copy of that so everybody can look at it. So I don't know, would you guys prefer next month or the annual meeting, or don't entertain the thoughts at all? I don't know.
Do they have a club? That,
Yes, they do. I think it's called Quad Runners. Just hang on just a second, I'll tell you what it is. It is Quad Country Runners, Bill, Alaska.
How many members do they have in their club?
I don't
I
know.
mean, how much would they be on the town roads?
According to Waterloo's thought was that it's going to be pretty much the same people that are already doing it. But then again, I know a lot of folks that have quad runners that don't have a place to run. If you start running the road, I'll just keep my opinions. I don't want to
Right.
pollute anybody, but so I don't know. Give it some
Yeah.
thought.
This is already in place in all surrounding areas, so like Jefferson and
Yeah, there is one in Jefferson.
Columbus area, you know, and
Town of Farmington, town of Hebron.
Watertown over there too, right?
No, I don't believe Watertown yet.
I think they're excited
just
because if you
Could be just
east of
if
there,
Lake
yeah.
Mills does approve it, then that would connect some of the Waterloo Township roads, but, I guess we need to kick it around. So whatever you wanna do, boss lady.
I think that it would be really good if they would make a presentation to us, and I don't see any reason to wait till April for that.
Okay.
They might as well get going on it. I think the other thing that would be good for us to do is look at what Waterloo has proposed and what their ordinance looks like, or the changes that they have. They certainly could bring that to us. And I guess I would wonder about the viability of their club and how they would,
Reliability is,
not liability, viability of their club, and their idea of how long they would be able to, if they would be able to afford the signage,
Sure.
and how they would go about an extended agreement with maintenance. So, that's stuff that you can throw back at
Yep.
them and
yep,
have them wrap it up and bring it to us.
I'll do
I
that.
don't see any reason why we wouldn't want to entertain that in the winter months, rather than in the summer when other stuff starts to take precedent. So good, thank you for your public comment, Mr. Schrader. Item A, application reviews. A discussion and decision on a request to hold a special event by Ragnar Events LLC for Ragnar Great Midwest 2019 to be held here on May 18th, 2019.
she is available by phone, the applicant.
The application has been in our packet.
See, they're not going to the high school this year, they're going to Seljan.
Yes,
Better yet.
Yeah.
kind of takes the pressure off this area.
A lot more space over there.
Do you guys have any questions that you would like to ask? The certificate is here, the trail. It has been pretty much the same route. I don't anticipate any construction in the early part of May when they might be doing this. I'm sure there could be weather conditions, but I can't anticipate those. This is still operated by Ragnar out of Salt Lake City, Utah, so,
Yeah, and we actually have the same race director this year that
Yeah,
we did last
but
year.
that was
so
good.
that's
anybody, I guess I'll make a motion for discussion purposes to approve the special events application. I'm gonna call this 2019-01, Sarah.
Yeah,
You want that to
Yeah.
approve it, yeah. I need it from my book.
On May 18th, 6
there-
a.m. to 3 p.m.
Is there a second?
I'll second
All
that.
right. Any other questions?
It's not
Any
their first
issues?
time.
All right, I would ask that all in favor, please say aye. Aye, and all opposed, the same sign. Ragnar event is approved. Item 9, old business, an update on the Cambridge Fire and EMS agreement. discussion and decision. I've been feeling the bottom of my pocket since you last talked. There's nothing in there.
I guess we all are getting accustomed to that. This is not the only one. So anyway, I guess you guys have the agreement. It's pretty similar to what we had before. This still is not the signable agreement. This still has to go through the Cambridge's attorney yet, but this is probably about 99.9% complete.
So, prior to the meeting, Sarah had made some pretty good notes. I wonder if you'd want to discuss those publicly.
Sure. I was just asking for clarification on the resolutions that need to be passed by all the municipalities involved. I was reading it that either they all pass the referendums that are needed in the future, within the next, what did it say, 7 years?
Yes.
5 years, 7 years?
Yeah.
And I was wondering, does that mean either we all pass it and we're all in, or somebody doesn't pass it and we're all out? But Dave explained that we are, if you don't pass it, you're still part of the commission, but then you don't have the ownership.
Right. You lose your vote, and also you lose your ownership and the assets of the equipment and building, and you just become a contract of the same district.
Right.
Yep. The only other question I had was about the insurance, because he gave us the commercial lease agreement that's being assumed by this purchase, through this purchase too, and the insurance is paid for by the owner of the property, not the commission.
Correct.
Right, so
Correct.
your questions were answered.
Yep. I just wondered if there needed to be some sort of funds, like, you know, the commission needed, if there was going to be more outlay, I guess, needed from us
Right,
as this
yeah.
goes along.
Right now, it is anticipated that there'd be no cash outlay to
Yeah.
anybody other than the town of Christiana.
I think it is very well drafted.
Yeah, I think
I
it's a
think
lot better.
it's
They did
really
clean it up.
taken a lot of work to put it together. And I guess we don't really need to make a decision on it tonight, do we?
We don't,
Sounds like
it's just, whenever they get the final one done, which I'm
And then
sure
when-
we will find that out on.
When we have the
next
final
week.
one, we really at this point don't have anything negative or positive to say about input here.
Okay,
I
perfect.
think you've answered the questions. And so, I wondered this evening, is this, on our website? You think we should put this on our website?
The draft of the agreement? I don't know, sure.
There's
It's
one
not.
other thing that's not on this agreement that we did talk about that, I believe the state is going to require it. Not only the signatures of the municipalities, it's going to require the signatures of the commissioners and what their title is in the commission. So it's just another signature page. So.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think the
Well,
content
Content, right.
would be
Yeah.
good if we could just post that on our website.
Okay. Do you want like a separate category
Well,
for this, or I'll find a spot?
I'm sure we can figure that out.
But it's just going to be this one, Sarah, the agreement we
Yeah.
have with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other
I
one
understand
that's-
that.
Just
I
for
just-
public information, I think it should be on our website.
I gave that to you for just your FYI.
All right, so we'll be anticipating a completed and formal contract for signature and decision at a later date.
Yeah, it'll be next month.
So
'Cause
we'll be
do
moving that on to February.
this month yet.
All right. Moving on, item B, discussion and decision on bidding Airport Road. I spent a little time over the holidays working on this bid. I hope you guys have had a chance to go over it. I kind of pilfered it off the internet and tailored it to meet our needs. What I have put together is a timeline so that this bid would go out to asphalt paving constructors for Airport Road. What we're planning to do is do some ditch excavation and culvert installation, and then go on and do some asphalt pulverization and repaving on Airport Road. And the timeline that I set up was that this should go out sometime now in January to bidders and be published, and that it would be due back here on Friday, March 1st, just because I thought that was a convenient day, and then that we could look at it on March 12th. I'd like to get going on this as soon as possible. There are two bids here. The first one is for the ditch excavation, and I really need to put in, I just put 400 feet in here. I don't know if that's really true. I need to measure it. And I thought what I would do is kind of construct a list of past bidders and people who have done work for us in excavation, and the same for the asphalt part of it. Work with those contractors that we have before, and then I don't know how we get the word out.
Yeah,
You
give me the
place it.
copy and I'll
I will send it to
mail
you
it
by
and-
email.
email it, publish it.
And so there are two actual bids for Airport Road going out. One for the ditch excavation and the culverts, and the other one is for the pulverization and repavement.
And if I remember right, you actually have two bids for the pulverizing. It's either to Cool Road or all the way to the
Well,
bridge,
if
right?
you look at the back here, at the page where I put in the proposed projects,
Yeah.
thought we might as well try to kill two birds with one
Oh,
big
yep,
stone.
That's fine. That's,
Airport Road, from Newville to the I-94 bridge, which is 1.55 miles, that's the entire road. Airport Road from Newville to Cool, approximately 1 mile. Then I have the wedging that we didn't accomplish last year, Bridle Path, Polo Lane, Fayetteville Road, and Hope Lake Road.
Yeah. Which I think is a good idea. It depends on where this comes in, so
It-
it's fine. The only thing I saw, Hope, and I know it's not, it's hard to think of everything. In the bid, normally we talk about shouldering.
Yes,
So, and then were you still considering putting 4 inches of gravel down and then pulverizing that?
right, that's a
also?
good point, because I have not published this. I'm only bringing it to you for approval.
Yep, you can fix it really easy, right, as far as.
So if you want to see how wide is the shoulder?
Whoa.
2 feet on each side, right?
Yeah, or, just so that it's figured in right away so that you get the edge of the blacktop protected.
Right. Okay.
So then, what about the 4 inches of gravel and then pulverized gravel into?
Okay, I can put that in there.
And then the other just a little housekeeping thing is on the other one and don't get me wrong, I'm not picking any of it.
No, I want you to, that's
just-
why I'm doing
They're
it.
gonna pick it up on it. I think on here, you can change that culvert to a 15 inch instead of 18s.
Okay,
And then the other question is on the dates, you have on here completed by June 30th, which is perfect because you want those guys in and out of there
Yeah.
before they do the pavement. But then back here it says.
October 31st.
Yeah.
Oh, that's on the proposal. Okay, I just cut and pasted.
Yeah, I know.
Right,
yeah,
okay.
So, just.
Good proofreading, Dave. That's why I did it.
The wind was really cold outside.
I'm really glad you took the
So
time
it
to
gives
read
you
it.
a little more.
All right,
Stay right here.
so that's kind of what I'm doing though. That's the time frame I'm looking at.
Yep.
I guess if we have this stuff in here by our March meeting, we should be able to look at it. We aren't that far into the construction season where we will get behind the 8 ball. They know what we want. We also have the advantage that we might get ahead of everybody else, get some better pricing, I doubt it, but it will be
Fuel's
kind of
cheaper.
off the plate here. Good, I appreciate your proofing all of that, that's great. And any other corrections you see in the next,
That's anything I saw.
24
You
hours.
see anything?
No.
let me know.
I'll make a motion to approve the bid letting for Airport Road and then the ditching and also the other miscellaneous wedging projects.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, is there any more discussion? Correct the paperwork and get it ready to go, Sarah. Thank you very much. All in favor, please say aye. Aye, and all opposed, the same sign. Thanks. All right, item C, update on Sherwood Hills Pond cleanup. Yesterday it rained again about 3-4 inches. I don't know how many. And today the wind blew about 40 miles an hour. And yesterday when I came home, about 4 o'clock, there was more water on the road and leaves and debris, and I was quite distressed. But at any rate, some of the engineering work has been done, as you know, from last month. I put forth a couple of proposals trying to figure out with Jay Forrest what his suggestions might be. He put forth a couple of scenarios of perhaps scooping some of the ice out of the pond and letting it melt, or hauling it away, and or pumping it, you know, or somehow to get the water out and get a good deep freeze in there. But he just really hasn't come back to me with anything. So I thought that I would schedule a meeting with him to talk about the upcoming snowplow contract and to talk about the pond. And when I talked to him late last week by email, he informed me that he was going to be gone this week and doesn't really have time to talk to me until the 16th, 17th, or 18th of January. And so I was a little frustrated. I guess for your information, he is out of town this week and is not available. I think we have Chad's number. He said that the weather was in his favor on his vacation, which is fine. He should take a vacation. I don't really have an update on where we're at with the pond as far as being ready to let a bid for anything, or basically how to find a solution to eliminate some of the material that's in there so that we can get in and clean it out. You guys have any suggestions who else we might go to for some support, or who I might gather to discuss this and seek bids for it? Do you think that LeVake would be interested, Dave?
You know, he may be, it's just, you know, and I can sympathize with Jay too, because, you know, and hope you know too.
I know, he's
work
walked in
outside.
before. It's a tough hard,
There's
tough thing.
just, the weather's tough, and you would suspect that by now it would be frozen, and you could take the ice off the top and it would refreeze, and you take it off and you'd be down into the silt. But obviously we get new contributions, that hasn't happened. But, you know, I can check around a little bit for some of these sludge pumpers or pressure pumpers. You know, they might be able to go in there and pump that silt out of
Well,
there.
I think that we're gonna have to be creative about finding a contractor.
Yeah.
I have complete faith in the fact that once we kind of understand what we want to do, and we have someone who's interested in the project, that we will be able to create a bid and be able to write a work order for it. But until then, I guess we're kind of in limbo with the weather.
You're really kind of stuck, period, because until we can figure out a way to maintain that water level, no matter how deep you dig it or how many times you clean it out, you're going to end up with exactly what you have, because it's just plain going to hold more water, that's it. And it's going to maintain the same level. So you're just going to be throwing money at it.
Okay, well, that's where I'm at. I'm trying to proceed. I have spoken with several of my neighbors who were at the meeting. There have been a couple of people who are not directly affected by the pond who have come forward and said they would be more than happy to help work on this project with some objectivity, and I'm feeling really good about that. So I think we're kind of on the road here to a solution, but we're sort of held hostage at this point as far as the weather goes.
Yeah.
As an aside, I had a very troubling phone call last night from a constituent who lives on Upper Shorewood Hills Road. They have been affected by the construction on one side of them, and they are elderly couple. They are really disappointed in the town of Lake Mills for not being able to help them achieve access to the lower part of their property and/or to the drainage that's going on their property and/or the erosion. I did speak today with our building inspector about it. They have called the sheriff, I believe, 5 times in their behalf. They have spoken with several attorneys about it and really have found no solution to their particular encroachment problem. And it's troubling to me. This is, according to my phone call last night, the 3rd year that this has been going on in their front yard, and it is troubling. It's a troubling scenario. I do not know how to seek a resolution. Anyway, on to 2019, eh? Item D, discussion and decision on revision of the town's ordinance 5-6, regulation of piers on Rock Lake. You guys have all had a copy. The last copy that I have that is now known as the 10/29/18 clean version
Oh, is it? All right.
is here. What I'd like to do tonight is just discuss it a little bit. Seeing that there's no one here to ask questions, I thought we should talk about where we go from here. The first thing I guess that I would like again to ask you to do, Sarah, is to put 10/29/18, the clean version, on our website. So that I look tonight, we have some peer revisions on there, but there's just a draft. There is nothing up to snuff.
The last thing I had was what I
Yeah.
emailed you the other day, so.
And so this is the final version. I gave each of you a copy.
Do I have that? Or that looks a little different than the one that I emailed you the other day.
I will email it
Okay.
to you, so you won't have any questions
Okay,
about
great.
if it's the right version,
Perfect.
because it's been a long road here
Yeah,
on the peer ordinance. You guys had a chance to read it. Do you have questions? Do you see anything or errors in it that you are concerned about as we go forward? I guess nothing is glaring here. I guess we should discuss what the timeline is going to be, you know? I have been working towards getting this cleaned up for a heck of a long time. Winter is probably not the very best public input time for a peer ordinance, but here it is and it's ready to go. I don't really want to make any decisions on it tonight. The way we would approach it is we would,
have to publish that there will be a public hearing and what the changes are gonna be. And then have the public hearing, decide on well, first you guys decide if you have any more changes to make. That's the first thing. Then the publishing of the public hearing, then the public hearing happens, and you can decide at that point if it's adopted or it isn't,
okay,
correct?
yeah.
Okay.
So here's
Here's
my timeline.
okay,
We're discussing it a little tonight.
Yep.
It's in the public eye. You're going to publish it in its final version on the website. We're going to go into our February meeting, see if there's any reaction, then we'll publish it,
okay, so no
discuss it in March.
public hearing in March?
Yes.
Okay,
That makes sense?
yes.
Just laying out the timeline so everybody knows what to expect. And if there are objections or questions or any other information that we can garner for the public on the peer ordinance, then we will have time and complete transparency on how it's enacted. How's that?
Super.
All right, moving on. Item 10, new business. Discussion and decision on bidding snow removal contract. Here again, impossible to talk to Forrest this week. I left the 16th and the 18th open for him when he gets back so that he can set a time for me to discuss this with him. I'm assuming that he would like to bid this again this next go around. I think that we would offer him the same, or any other bidder, the same 3-year contract. with some of the similar provisions that we would have in the past. I guess I would like to, at this time, float the idea that we ask him for some possible changes in his application of salt, and that we work towards reduction of salt in the town, and that we ask him to look into the technology of brining and doing some brine treatments for our roads.
Which really hope is exactly the same thing. It's just, it's dissolved salt in water.
Yes, it would mean that we would be buying that salt saline solution from another source. It is available to us through the county at the county salt shed on I-94. What we are lacking is any equipment or the suggestion of him looking into any equipment. And I guess I want to talk that over with him. I just wondered how you guys might feel about that. Is it worth pursuing? Is it worth poking the bear?
I think anytime you can reduce your salt or your sand consumption is a good thing. Oh, wait a minute, you wanted to reduce the salt, didn't you?
Yes, yes. Well, I'd like to reduce both. And I think with the use of brining equipment, and I think we're all seeing it on the roadways, man, you must see a lot of it, Lee.
Yeah.
It seems to be effective. It is only effective in certain kinds of weather and storms when it is easily predicted. There certainly still has to be a component of hard rock salt and sand, but I guess I'd like to see him experiment with that.
Has he shown any interest in doing that? Like, 'cause
I don't know because I haven't talked with
that'd
him.
be, yeah, he put people out before storms instead of waiting till after.
Yes, that's what they do in the city of Beloit. They treat prior to a storm if there's ice or snow predicted.
Yeah.
And the ideal thing with the brine is, it's not like salt, if you put it on a bare road, it doesn't bounce off of the sides.
Yeah, yeah.
Then
Sticks where you put
see
it.
where
Stays there.
tire tracks,
Oh, it strikes
move it
right
over
down the
for-
road, yeah.
And then your
lines,
tires drag it a little.
But it does require a special amount of equipment. So I'm thinking about as we write the contract, that perhaps can be a component in the contract. I don't know how any other way we could,
Who else do we send the bid to at this point? It seems like a lot of the companies aren't doing snow removal anymore that we used to.
well, I don't think that we should eliminate anyone who might have a startup idea because years
No,
ago,
I'm just asking, who else do we have as a resource at this point? He's the only one who has bid on it for the last couple of times, I think. At least the last time, but I don't know if the county's, anything's
Well,
changed
here again-
there, or, I don't think the
It's-
Waterloo is doing, I don't think Wolf is doing it anymore.
Wolf is now.
Oh, you read that.
I don't know
Hartwig.
if that guy on the road is still,
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just thinking ahead.
Yeah,
like,
Glenn
who-
might be
who do I
looking.
send these to?
Glenn might be looking for something to do.
I think the word was pretty loud and clear that he was real happy to be done with it.
Yeah, but then he went back into the next meeting to see if he could retain that business.
He told me last week that he watched the snowfall, and it was kind of
Hey, it's a lot more fun.
I bet.
You learn to
yeah.
hate snow.
But I don't think that we should
Getting up
allow
in
that
the
to, guide what we do as far as our roads go. I think we need to put it out for bid,
Yep.
see who might respond,
Yeah.
see who might be interested in it. Who knows, the county might be back interested in it. I do not know. But I kind of wanted to float that idea of saline and salt reduction to you guys and see how you would feel about it. Because it'll be a stretch for Jay to embrace that, I'm sure. All right, that being said, we will move that on, hopefully to the February agenda. We can do the same thing, maybe open bids in March. Excuse me. Item B, board expense sheet approval. Seeing none. I wanted to talk this over with you guys correspondence wise.
Oh, all right.
Sarah's received a letter from the SAMT accounting service. You guys have it. talking about a letter of an agreement for the charges that they have. Their method of billing. Why don't you talk, Sarah, because I can't.
Okay, well, this is just an annual engagement letter, something that's very standard in an accounting firm. They do this every year. It's really just a contract that says what they're gonna do and what their scope of their services is and how much it costs. So as far as I can tell, there's no change in what we are currently doing. They do our monthly payroll. They do all of our quarterly filing. They are doing our annual W-2s. 1099s they'll do for us, which is nice because that was just handwritten by me prior. And it's $75 per month, so it's a pretty good deal, I think.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't think that, I thought it looked like it was pretty much the same. So I don't know if there's really a decision to make here, I guess. It's just,
I
There
would,
really
no,
isn't.
it's not on the agenda because I didn't realize, when I saw the envelope with stamped accounting, I thought, oh, it's just a bill. I didn't catch on until
Right.
after the agenda was done, but,
It is a letter of engagement
yeah.
which needs to be acknowledged by the town. It's addressed to Sarah, and they're asking for her signature and title.
Yeah,
great.
and I'm thinking, if you want, I can change that, since I'm not gonna be here next year for it. Do you want that to be the board?
No, just leave
Addressed
it.
to the board?
Just leave it, it's you, between you and him, because you're the clerk, and whoever takes the
Okay.
clerk's position will
All right.
follow through. All right, that was my correspondence item. I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, well, the Jefferson County is seeking 2 residents of the county to fill in as alternate members of the Board of Adjustment. Just got this today. So if anyone's interested, I guess they contact the zoning department. But I also noticed that the city is looking for our Public Works Board position to be filled.
I know that.
Okay, so that's a topic in circulation right now.
I did have a very interesting conversation this evening with Mr. John Reich, who used to be our Public Works appointee, who is on his way to vacation in Arizona, who told me that if he could be excused 3 months of the year, he would love to return to the board.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, you go on vacation and we'll talk in March. So that's good, but we still do have a vacancy on the Public Works Board of the City of Lake Mills. So if anyone is interested in that.
well, yeah, because now your appointments will come up, what, at the annual meeting?
But we could make this appointment at any time.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
it's vacant
Right.
at this point.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, then we have a letter from We Energies addressed to the public official, talking about natural gas pipeline safety information, little pamphlet there for you. We have due diligence from the Dane County Planning and Development people about a change in the comprehensive plan related to an amendment to the town of Verona. They have to send that to us because we're a neighboring county. A public notice from the Board of Zoning Appeals of the City of Lake Mills. There's a public hearing going on January 16th that has to do with an appeal of a residence at 711 Mildred Court. Not entirely sure why. We must just be within the radius of who has to receive that. I don't know. And did you see the email from a town resident who was wondering why they received the flyer, quote, begging for a new fire truck for Cambridge Fire Department, and asking who is paying for this and why they were receiving it?
I think
Did you respond to that?
I think
sent it to you
I think
both of
that
you.
I responded to that, and I think
Okay.
I also responded to Mr. Struss, the head of the commission, and sent him this because
Okay,
that he should know how our residents feel.
Okay.
We got a few other ones too.
All right.
I bet you did.
Yeah.
He said so
Okay.
too.
Yeah.
all right, and
Somewhere
then
check
this came in our utility bill from the Lake Mills Light and Water, concern about lead in the drinking water and just information about how to have your water tested, what the steps are that they're taking. So I could put this on the website. It's technically not our concern necessarily because all of our residents have wells, but yet we're that close that I'm sure it's still on people's radar, so.
I don't know if you happened to see the news this last week, but there are a huge amount of wells in southern Wisconsin, private and public wells, that are contaminated. So that I think that this is very good information
Okay.
for people because they can then avail the water testing.
Well, I do know that in wells, there are things other than lead that are also
Yes,
contaminating, so
yes.
yes, that would
And
test
that-
for all
that-
of those things.
That would take care of
Yep,
the
yep.
information, public information of that part.
Okay. That is all I have.
This looks like just something that they sent out. All right, looking ahead, item 12, meeting scheduled. February 5th, meeting of the Planning Commission, if they do meet.
No, they will. I have at least 2 items for you.
We'll have a celebration because they're gonna meet. Also, February 5th,
Real excited.
6 PM, Joint Rock Lake. February 12th, Town Board meeting at 8. February 19th, no spring primary.
No spring primary, and I would like to note that we have confirmed, that's not the right word, but I'm not coming up with it at 9 o'clock at night. Certified all of the nominations of the candidates at this point. We drew lots for the office that has more than one candidate today, we being me and Deputy Massey.
Thank you. Looking ahead, I also said we will have a reschedule of our planning commission due to our April 2nd election. And then, as you recall, our meeting
In April.
election is 1 week later, and that is our annual meeting, and it will be at 7 on the 16th of April. So there's a little change to get in your address book. Anything else that I haven't thought of? Sarah, thank you.
What date is this? What day of the week is the 16th?
Tuesday.
It's a
It's a
Tuesday.
but it's the third week.
It's a
Right.
week
Okay.
later.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
By state statute, we have to do it that
I
way.
know normally it's always like the 23rd is really late in the month, so this time it's actually
Oh, yeah,
in the
sure.
middle. Yeah.
All right, the last item on the agenda is adjournment.
I will make that motion.
I'll second it. Motion is adjourned.